Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. So today we're doing a thrift with me, and then I'll show you what I bought at the end of the video. So we left really early, it was still dark out, we had to stop for gas. For some reason I like preserving the gas prices. I just think it'll be an interesting thing to look back on. I take photos sometimes and put them in my journal. Anyway, we made it to the first store. We've been to this one before. We had to drive a little over an hour away. I don't think I mentioned that. So we are in the store. The store is actually quite large. When I saw John with the cart, I remembered, oh yeah, they have carts here, which I happen to really enjoy when thrift stores have carts versus a basket that you have to carry or like kick around on the floor while you're thrifting. So right away I noticed they had records, and I could not stop myself from looking because I just always think that if I don't look, I'm going to miss that one record that I'm looking for. I'm not looking for very many records, but there are a few that I would love to find. So I am glad that I looked through, because I did find one that I have been looking for and another one that I do like. I thought these disco records were really funny, but they're pretty pricey for a used record in a thrift store, in my opinion. But I did think the cover was really funny, and then they had another one like volume 2 in there, which I thought was funny. This thrift store also sells like new products as well. It's kind of weird, so that's what I'm panning over here. They have a lot of like signs and just, it seems like just a lot of random, probably made in China junk. I don't know. Or like it kind of seems overpriced to me for what it is. So they probably just buy it really cheap and then mark it up. I don't know. But it does take up a decent amount of space in this thrift store, but it seems like it's always the same stuff that's there. So I don't know if they really sell a whole lot. They had a little toy corner, which I usually scan the toys just to see if there's anything vintage there. Then they had a bunch of platters, like probably vintage, but the prices were insane to me for what they are. Like super plain mass-produced pieces. Just, I really don't feel like they hold that much value. I could see if it was something unique, but these pieces are definitely not unique enough to charge that much. I thought the sign was really cute and funny. So now we've made it into like the used section. I was mainly looking for things to thrift, to flip. I feel like it's getting really hard to find things at a reasonable price that you can flip, but I noticed these plates. I didn't feel like getting them to sell, and I didn't really need them, although I've been seeing so much stoneware lately that it makes me want to start a collection again. But I used to have some and then I sold it, but I don't really need to do that. So I was hoping to find some vintage mugs or glasses that I could sell, because I do really well selling those things, but everything they had was pretty much plain or like not vintage. I saw this bowl, which I kind of almost regret not getting, like not to sell but for myself, but I did ultimately just leave it there. But I don't think I've seen one that wasn't completely clear glass before, so I thought that was interesting, and that would definitely fit my kind of kitchen aesthetic. So mainly we were out today to thrift for for reselling, and mainly what we buy is clothing. It's extremely profitable, and there is an abundance of inventory, so it's very, very easy to go out and find things to flip. So that's what we've been doing for the past few months. I think I've mentioned it before, so usually every weekend we go out and spend a lot of time doing it, so that's what we were doing. And while we were out, I usually look for things that I can thrift to flip on Etsy, but we mainly just sell on eBay and Poshmark with clothing. And so John has actually started his own YouTube channel to document all of the like reselling over there. So he posts like thrift hauls, and then he also posts like weekly like what sold and does a breakdown and stuff. So I'm gonna start leaving that linked below in case anyone is interested. Today, the day this video is going up, he's actually posting a haul of all of the clothing that we bought while we were out on this day, so if you're interested. This pot I thought looked very cool and definitely my kitchen aesthetic. It actually wouldn't open though. I think it's probably made from aluminum. It was like bent kind of, but I had found something similar to this, only it was like a Mary mushroom pattern a few years ago that I sold. But I didn't feel like it was worth buying to resell. I love this avocado blender. I think I actually have the same model blender, but it's in like the harvest gold color, so I really didn't need it, but I did really like seeing it. But again, I don't really want to get into like trying to sell and ship appliances, because shipping in Canada is kind of a lot already, and appliances are obviously heavier than a lot of other things that you could sell. So after I got done looking at all of the like used things, then I decided to go find John to see where he thought I should look for clothing and what he had already looked through. We weren't like super excited about the store because they have bins more so than like clothing on racks, which just takes a lot longer and is more annoying. He was down there looking at books, so then I realized that I should probably look at the books as well. So I flipped through the cookbooks, and I normally never look at the small cookbooks, but I'm glad I did because I found an amazing one in there. So stay tuned to see which one I found. And then I did look through the books, like the bigger cookbooks as well. I did find one. I don't know if I found it at this store or not though, because we went to several stores this day. I did see a Better Homes and Gardens one, which is one of the ones that I collect, but I was pretty positive that I already had this casserole one, so I did decide to just leave it behind. So now we're at the second location we went to. This is actually a really big store. It's actually 2 levels, so you go on the bottom is clothing, and then when you go up to the top, there's like a big room filled with stuff. But on the bottom, they do have a little movie section, so I looked through that quickly, and then I decided to go upstairs. They actually have like multiple rooms up here filled with things, so they do have this room that's nothing but books. I'm not sure if I filmed in this store or not before, but the last time I was at this store, I did find quite a few cookbooks, so I decided to take a look, even though when they're like so stacked up because there's so many, it's kind of annoying. While I was in there, I noticed they had this big section of Danielle Steele books, which when I was a kid, like my stepmom used to read these books. I saw this one. This one has to be like 1970s with that cover, but it brought back like, I don't know, I just guess I had never thought about it for a long time, but when I saw them, I instantly like reminded me of the 90s, being a kid, and my stepmom reading those books. I think she had like all of them at the time. I decided to look through the kids' books to see if I could find any little golden books. A lot of people like to decorate with them like during the holidays, so I did find this one that would be pretty good for Easter, I think, the tortoise and the hare, but it had like in permanent marker the child's name, and that would deter me from using it for decor, so I figured that would also deter other people. So then when I made it into the big room, one of the first things I noticed was this vintage popcorn maker, which I thought was cute. My parents had one, something similar. So they just have a bunch of racks in here with things. I will say the store is kind of disorganized, but I get it because I used to work in a thrift store, so I know how hard it can be to keep things organized, so I won't be too hard on them for it. But I definitely appreciate a well-organized thrift store, and that was definitely one of my main priorities when I was working in the thrift store, was keeping it looking nice. But I will say we actually cleaned all of our items before we put them out, which I definitely feel like not all thrift stores do that. So I wasn't really seeing anything like of, I don't know, anything that like I thought, oh, I could get that and resell it, or anything that I personally liked myself. It just seemed like a lot of random things. I wasn't really seeing a lot of anything vintage, so I was feeling slightly discouraged. I did see this. I thought this was just interesting. I think it's like carved out of a coconut or something. It's like it's supposed to be a shark, I think. I thought that was unique. Definitely probably homemade. I wasn't too sure, but I saw this like girl in the raincoat, and I thought, oh, that might be something. But I did look it up, and I didn't feel like it was worth buying to flip, but I did think it would be nice like spring decor, maybe Easter decor, but it wasn't my particular style, and I didn't feel like it was worth trying to flip. So I decided to just give you like a pan because I was in there by myself at that point, which I was very excited about. However, pretty much immediately after that, a bunch of people came in, so it was really hard to film because I don't want to film other people. I'm very conscious of like not making other people feel uncomfortable and like ruining their experience. So I thought that was interesting as well. It reminds me of maybe like a cup that would be in the bathroom for like your toothbrushes or something, but I don't know if that's actually what it was. I love these lamp shades. This like style brings me back to childhood. And then I did notice another vintage popcorn maker up there. And then the rest of the shelf was either just really random miscellaneous things or just a whole bunch of just plain glassware, which I'm not really interested in. But at the very end, there was a big shelf filled with mugs, which I was interested in. But before I got down there, I just did the other side. So I went down that aisle. Again, there wasn't like a whole lot really. That I saw this glass that was like a World Series from 92, I think, which I thought might be something, but I looked it up and I didn't feel like it was worth it. I thought this sign was really cute and I guess very true. I did notice they had a bunch of 8-tracks and tapes on the floor, and then they did have a bin with the records in it, which I did skim through the records like super quick. So then I made it back to the back wall with all the mugs, and even though there was a lot of mugs there wasn't a whole lot, like it was all just kind of crappy, if I'm being honest. Just random crappy mugs. They did have a lot of Corel mugs though, which I thought might be worth picking up to sell, because I'm sure there's a market for people who are, collect certain patterns. However, they wanted $1.50 for each mug, which I didn't feel like it was worth it, because if you got like 4, you're looking at like $6. So I don't know. If they would have been like 50 cents, I probably for sure would have got them, because I feel like it would have been worth my time to try and resell them. But there was quite a few patterns that I don't think I'd seen before. I feel like they might be like 90s, but yeah, I ended up just looking. It was very hard as well because there were so many that were all like pushed to the back. But this one with the leaves, I don't remember what it's called, but I do recognize that pattern. But yeah, I just figured it just wasn't worth trying, so I just moved on. For the most part, I would say there was like no rhyme or reason to the shelving, like what was on the shelves, which I do also appreciate when things are like items are grouped together. It just makes it kind of easier. Then I found these, like I'm pretty sure they're 90s vintage. They're like melamine Disney cups, which I thought might be something. I thought this was really pretty, but it was pretty heavy, and I forget what the price was, but I didn't feel like it was worth it. Again, I thought this was really cute. This is not vintage, but it's a little like piggy bank. This is from like one of our local hardware stores, but it's like, home savings. I just thought that was cute, so I guess that's why I showed it. Any fellow Canadians will definitely recognize these glasses. I think they were sold at a gas station, if I'm correct, during the 1988 Olympics, and my parents had a whole bunch of them, and we used to have some too, but I've since gotten rid of all of them, but I see them pretty much everywhere I go. I thought those wooden bowls were kind of cute, but I didn't have a need for them, and I didn't think it'd be worth reselling them either. I feel like that's the story of this whole day. It wouldn't be worth reselling. I feel like it's just getting so hard to find vintage things that aren't priced really high, because now I feel like everyone is like, oh, it's vintage, it's worth a lot of money. So I don't know. I thought that sugar canister, I think it was just made to look vintage with like the font or whatever. I did find this Nintendo gun though, which I thought was pretty cool. I was really surprised it was only $6.50, so I definitely knew that John would want to get that, so I just picked that up because John was downstairs looking at clothing while I was here. Then I did spot this mug, kind of like stoneware, 70s, 80s looking dad mug, and I thought that I could probably resell that, so I did pick that up. And I saw some more stoneware plates. I don't think I've seen this pattern before. I don't know how I flipped this around without dropping it. It was so close. But I actually really like the simplicity of just the bands around it, even though, like I said, I don't need a stoneware collection, even though, honestly, every time I see it, I think, should I be collecting stoneware? I think it's really pretty. I don't enjoy like how thick they are. I really like my Corelle dishes because they're really thinly stacked and they like last forever. Anyway, so we left that store eventually, and then we were going to the Salvation Army, and so we had to park a little ways away, but I thought I would show you, this is a very pretty like old historic town. I thought I would just show you out my window all the buildings that were next to where we had parked. And then this is actually the old Salvation Army thrift store. Like I wonder if it used to actually be the church. It just has that look to it. So we got into the thrift store. They had these really cute Holly hobby glasses, but they were $5 a piece, so definitely not worth reselling. The store was super busy, so that's why I'm just showing you what's in the cabinet, because I was like, I can't film anything in here. But I thought, well, I'll just show them what's in this cabinet because nobody's around here at this moment. I thought this planter was so freaking cute. I definitely didn't need it, and obviously at $20 I couldn't resell it for a profit, but super cute. I'm blanking on what the name of these dishes are, but I actually have a whole bunch that I think I'm going to put up for sale. And they had these clear Pyrex bowls for $15 in here. So then I did actually make it to the shelves and was filming a tiny bit. It was so crowded though. There was people like right on top of you. I don't think I've ever seen that pattern before, and I don't know if that I've seen this pattern either, but I didn't feel like they were priced in a way that I could resell them. I'm debating on why I didn't pick this up. I think it was only $4, so I definitely probably could have sold that for a profit, but I don't know. I think I was just feeling really anxious because there was so many people in there and it was super crowded. Anyway, they did still have a bookshelf out with some Christmas things, but I did not notice anything vintage on the shelf that I thought was anything, unfortunately. I think like nowadays, as soon as people see like vintage things, they just buy it. So it's just seeming to get scarcer and scarcer. I thought those teacups were pretty, but again, I don't need them. I did decide to look through the cookbook section in their bookshelf here, just in case there was anything that I wanted that I didn't already have. I did also come across this vintage food processor, and I love that it says works on the tag. Like someone probably just had this in the kitchen and we're still using it until recently. Anyway, that is all I was able to film. Like I said, it was just so crowded and I want to be respectful of other people's experience. So now I'll show you the few things that I got. So I love these Firestone Christmas records. They're really popular with a lot of people. There's 7 in total, and I needed number 1 and 2, or 2 and 3. Anyway, I only need 1 now. I've collected them all, and I saw that one. I was super excited, and then I also saw this like Parisian record, which I'm very excited about. I actually love Parisian music, and I'm learning how to speak French again, which I'm super excited about. So I was like, I could definitely see myself just putting this on while I'm doing housework or something. Then I also found this buttoneer, I guess it's called. It's like an easy way to add buttons. And we actually had one of these at the thrift store I used to work at that I wanted to buy, but then I didn't right away, and then someone else bought it. I was like, oh no. That was the worst thing about working in a thrift store, was wanting to buy something and not doing it, and then someone bringing that item up to the cash. And you're like heartbroken. You're like, oh no. But I thought it might not work, but it did still have the pieces there. And then, like I said, we did get this Nintendo gun. We actually already have one, but John said it was worth it to get it for $6.50. And then I bought these. These are not like old, but they kind of had a retro look to them. To me, they kind of reminded me of the 70s. They were only $2.25, these little dishcloths. I'm gonna hang them on my like stove. I think they'll fit the kind of 70s aesthetic of the kitchen. I didn't have any like non-holiday ones to hang there, so that worked out good. And then I did decide to get these Disney melamine cups. I don't know, I didn't look up to see if they were worth anything or not, but they definitely do look 90s to me, and they were only 50 cents a piece, so I thought it was worth it to look, or like to not look them up, and just go for it. It's only $1.50. If I end up not being able to sell them, I can just donate them. And then I did get the dad mug, which I'm sure you probably thought I was going to. It was only $1.50, so I thought that was pretty good. I do have a really good track record of selling mugs and glasses. It's probably like the thing I sell the most of besides vintage stockings for some reason. Those are extremely popular. So I'm excited about that. And then I also found this little M&M bucket, which I think is really cute. It's not vintage or anything. I think it's like 2015, but I thought it would be really cute decor for like my movie storage, which I'm almost done. So I'll probably film that soon. I did end up finding one little golden book, The Tale of Peter Rabbit. And the cover looked like it was in good shape. So I thought I could probably sell that or keep it for myself to use. I don't know. Either way, very Eastery themed. So then here is the small cookbook I found. I can't believe this was just nestled in with all of them. It's from the 1960s, and it's like the Bisquick cookbook, and it's like done by Betty Crocker, and it's the same kind of like ring style as I have quite a few other ones of that same era by Betty Crocker. I just thought it was really cool, and I actually looked up on my grocery order to see if I could get Bisquick and like if it was like vegan, because I'm vegan. And it actually is, so I'm excited. I really want to do more vintage recipes. It's been like forever since I did one, so I definitely want to do more of those this year. So then I did also find this cookbook, The Treasury of Christmas. This one's actually not that old, 1989, although I mean I guess that is more than 30 years old. I just kind of flipped through it quickly, and I saw quite a few things in there that looked interesting that maybe I could make. So I don't know, I was like, I should get this, and then I can do more vintage recipes next Christmas. I'm sad I didn't get to any this year. And then lastly, I just got this Betty Crocker International cookbook, which I didn't have. This one's from 1980, I believe. And the book's in super good condition, so I'm excited about that. It looks like quite a few good recipes in it. So the only ones I collect are Betty Crocker and Better Homes and Gardens. I just try to limit myself to that, although that Treasury of Christmas is neither one of those. But yeah, I just try to limit myself so that I don't go crazy, especially because Better Homes and Gardens made like a million cookbooks. But anyway, that is all that I got today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wish that I would have been able to get more footage, like actually thrifting. It was so busy and crowded. It's definitely easier to film not on a weekend day, but unfortunately weekend days are the days when we can do it more frequently, so I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.